Welcome to a special episode of the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast. We're here today for you guys to review round two and round three of the NFL draft, to give you guys our thoughts and opinions on everything that happened and, talk about the picks that the Bills made, as well as give you guys some live updates of things that are going on right now as the final rounds of the NFL draft are going on. Kind of right now, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, and it looks like Shedeur Sanders might be on the clock here, so we'll definitely give you guys some insight on that. As always, I'm Mike with 716 Sports Entertainment, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill and Mr. T. Reese. And guys, as you know, as always, if you like this content that we're doing, please interact with us. Hit us up in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers with this, and we're more than halfway there. And guys, we really appreciate all the commentary, all the feedback, and all the interactions you guys have given us so far in the commentary. So thank you so much for that. So, guys, let's go ahead and just kind of like break it all down so far. So, we saw the Bills moved up to in the second round to take TJ Sanders, defensive tackle from South Carolina, at 41. And then in the third round yesterday, they picked at 72 to take Landon Jackson, an edge from Arkansas. And then today, the Bills also made a pick as well. They moved up considerably, almost 22 spots, to take Deion Walker, another defensive lineman as well. So, loading up the defense. What are we how are we feeling about that? These guys all look real good. They all have gotten really great grades, and everyone kind of seems to be pretty happy with us so far. So what are we how are we feeling?
Well, I think that they're hitting every spot that we need to hit. You know what I'm saying? They got two defensive tackles. The cornerback first overall, which we discussed in our last podcast about the Bills. And I'm really interested in this Landon Jackson kid from Arkansas, the edge. I mean, it looks like he's kind of built like the normal prototypical defensive end that McDermott likes: tall, lanky, has a good base, can hold their edge. But as far as sacks, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know what kind of. I just don't know if he's going to be a sack artist or not. He's going to be a pressure guy. McD loves pressure guys, so I don't know. We'll see with him. But he's the one I'm really interested in.
So Jackson, it'll be interesting because both of these two guys, Sanders and Jackson, neither of them are probably going to be starters. They specifically said with Sanders that they're going to kind of work him in as like part of a rotation, being said that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. As far as Jackson goes, I'm kind of curious to see if Bosa can stay healthy. That I think learning from Bosa might be a huge advantage for Jackson. And if we can get a full season out of Bosa and then have Jackson next year after a year of learning, I think we could have a monster on our hands.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, like, right, that they're really loading up defense. You really don't think that either one of these guys is going to play, like in the like right to start off the year, the one that Walker's not going to line up right next to Oliver, because it really
I,
seems to be like what their kind of their hope was for this guy.
I think they're going to play in rotation. I don't think he'll be the starter because that'll be where Bosa starts probably, but he'll definitely play downs.
Yeah, Bosa's not going to be an every down back.
No, but I don't think, but I mean, a lot of the times with these rookies, I think it's better to not force them in immediately. If you can get them in there and get them work behind experienced guys, I think that helps them overall.
No, it definitely will. I'm just looking at the Landon Jackson athletic score. He ranked at 85, which was second amongst edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Which is very defensive end and edge. I mean, I mean, you can't argue that. That's one of McD's picks. He loves athletic players. Generally, a lot of them have an upside on them. It's just a matter of how you bring them along. But you're right. I think he's going to be a rotational guy. I mean, I think the top three picks, other than let's say Maxwell's going to probably pencil him in as a starter. We'll see what happens with that. But TJ Sanders, he plays the same spot as Ed Oliver, so he'll be in a rotation behind him. And then you got, like I said, the Landon Jackson. We'll wait and see what happens with him. He'll probably get into the rotation. But the Deion Walker, who knows? Maybe he pushes Daquan out of that spot, because Daquan hasn't really done much for us in a season and a half. So if Deion Walker, I think that spot's open for him to take.
Oh, for sure.
I just want to point out that the Steelers did not take Shedeur Sanders.
Oh no.
No,
Who
they
did
did
they
not.
Who
take?
did they?
They took Jack Sawyer, an edge from Ohio State.
Dude, all all I was seeing all morning was
Man,
analysts crapping on Pittsburgh for not making a decision at QB, for not either committing to going out and getting Aaron Rodgers or for not taking Sanders. Like, and I mean, we talked about this on a previous podcast that Sanders' draft stock has been indubitably, we'll go with, hurt by his father and all the talk around that. And it really makes you wonder, is he gonna end up not getting drafted because of it?
So, yeah, and I'm just reading here that Cleveland drafted Dylan Gabriel at 94th, so they might go with him as well. Um, so let's actually stop and talk about that for a second. So, like, what is going on with all of this Shedeur Sanders stuff? Like, guys, let's talk about it. Why hasn't he been picked yet? Like, give me your honest opinions about what's going on with this whole situation and like why nobody wants him. Nobody apparently wants him. Pittsburgh has had like 5 opportunities to take him at this point, and if Cleveland has a guy, that means the only other team, in my opinion, that really needs somebody is the Raiders. So, like what I mean, Tennessee got their guy, right? Like if we're like just going up and down the thing here, Tennessee got their guy, the Saints got their guy, the Giants got their guy. Um, I mean, does Seattle need a guy? I mean, I
what?
don't know. Like
Hey, hey, what
nobody's
if
like nobody's
Indianapolis?
left here.
What if Indianapolis surprised us and takes him?
I don't know.
They
They
could,
aren't they committed to Richardson?
yeah, they're kind of committed
No,
to
it's his rookie.
Richardson.
It's only his second season.
I mean, you're the one. I That's going to be a real tough sell to your fan base, though, because you go from one guy who's lazy and who's got a bad attitude and a bad work ethic. Who remember when he tapped out of like a game just because he was tired? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not gonna dog the guy because like I'm no athlete and I certainly couldn't do that. But that's a really bad look, right?
You're
Like,
all
a
you're
really
also
bad look
not
for your
getting
fan
paid
base.
$60 million to play football.
That's true. But like it's a real bad look for your fan base. So if they went and picked another guy who's got character problems, I mean, yikes.
So
But then again, Indianapolis is a dumpster fire. So their
my
owner is a complete piece of trash.
my honest opinion about Sanders is he's all I personally think he's overrated. He's coming out of a team that doesn't play in a particularly strong conference. He is lost his conference championship game or his bowl game, whatever the hell that was at the end of the season. They he has a great PR agent in his dad, but that's about it. I mean, I think he's about it, in my opinion, he'll be at most an average NFL quarterback. He and that's if anybody even drafts him. I think that he brings too much bad publicity because of, dude, you draft him on a team that has an established quarterback already. The second that quarterback starts to struggle, we all know that Sanders is going to be on Twitter or in the media somewhere running his mouth about how his son should be the starter there. It's going to bring attention to your team that you don't want.
I mean, that's possible, but I mean, let's just say it's humbling, probably Shedeur, and it's probably really humbling Dion.
It should.
And if he does get drafted, maybe that's the red flag that he sees in his head. Like, let me back off and let my son do his thing. I mean, if you haven't learned from who's those guys in basketball,
The
the
balls.
the balls. Look at that. Look
Yeah.
at that whole debacle. I mean, usually when parents start getting involved in this type of stuff, especially if they're famous, I mean, you just bring team, especially in NFL. They don't like to have any type of, they like attention, but a certain type of attention,
Yeah.
especially the owners. And you don't, it's going to be tough to put him on your team with Dion lurking in the background, whether or not he's going to, react to anything or any decisions you make. I just think that his father, that's why, again, as a coach, I coached before, and the hardest thing that you'll see is when parents are coaching their kids. It's the hardest thing to do. And just in my opinion, his son would have been better off playing for somebody else. If he had the skills, it would have showed up in college just from his name. He didn't need to play for his father. His name alone would have gave him, some sort of a boost on somebody else's roster.
Yeah. So you think that it hurt him then to be coached by his dad?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It
All
gave him
the all the publicity they got, negative, positive, whatever it was,
I wasn't really a big fan of the way that Sanders went in and acted with when he took over that team too. It was kind of, I don't know, not just over the top, but like the way he went in and was just like basically, I'm just gonna cut every single person without really doing anything. And his coaching style kind of just felt off to me. But I'm not a coach, so I don't know how if I'm the greatest judge of character when it comes to that. Um, and funnily enough, do you remember when the balls showed up on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. So let's get back to the other Sanders, the one that's on our team then now. So TJ Sanders comes to us as a D line from South Carolina. They read that he's a tall, athletic, interior defensive lineman who wins, can win at the line and, rushes high often, has big power, strong hand usage, and good technique. Good lateral movement, good flexibility. Kid seems like he's a good run defender. Overall, very well-rounded player. Um, yeah, I mean, all of the numbers, all of the combine data looks good. He's fast, strong, hardworking, seems like a good character guy. Um, I think that like with all of these defensive players that the Bills have taken, like it's very clear what they're trying to do here, right? Like to what you guys were saying yesterday, where it's like we need to shore up that defense because we couldn't do it in the playoffs, right? Like this is why Kansas City beat us. It wasn't because we couldn't score, it was because we couldn't stop them.
Nope.
So, and we had a few games, right? Like, and I wonder if those, this is, I could think like where I'm going with this and what I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think that that Lions game, that Rams game, and that Chiefs game last year just spooked McDermott a little bit? Like, because like, remember that Rams game specifically where they never got a stop? Like they never got one stop. The only stop was like
At
once
the
at the end of the game when it was like nonsense, right? So, I mean, they went down the field and scored like 7 touchdowns in that game. So, do you think that that spooked McDermott?
Well, I mean, I think they should fire McDermott, but that's besides the point. Um, it's those that stretch of games was embarrassing for anybody who tries to claim that they're a defensive coach. I mean, how do you give up that? They're lucky that we have an offense that can put up the points that they can, because that's the only thing that kept that from being an utter embarrassment is the fact that we were in those games still. And hell, I mean, we won that Detroit game. Like it made up for the lacking in the defense there, but I think it definitely did show that it's a major point of what they needed to address. And I'm glad to see that they're actually addressing it.
Well, I'm not going to put all the blame of the defense on McD. Obviously, his name's on the
All of
defense for that simple fact. But you also have to realize is that he also had Bobby Babbage Jr. was calling the plays during the game. He was in charge of the defense. And what we're forgetting is that you have to like pull yourself back as a fan and think about what's going on with the defense. Last year was a transitional year for both sides of the ball. They're changing philosophy. So they're going to start doing less zone and trying to go to a man defense, which means you need guys that can get up the field quick and fast. And they have to be big enough that where they can play against the run. And we said it in the last podcast is that you need some guys that can get some sort of penetration up the middle, and you need your defensive ends to close out games. And that's what they didn't have last year. So with bringing in these big defensive tackles, like the kid TJ Sanders, he's a grade up from Jordan Phillips is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
He has a quick get off. The only problem with Jordan Phillips, he had no tank in him and he was injury prone.
Yeah.
This kid seems to be the opposite of that in terms of the way he plays ball. But he's pretty much a similar build and style of play as Jordan Phillips. Fast, get up the field, not necessarily the best guy against the run, but he's young, but he's a young guy, which means that he can be trained to learn how to play against the run. Jordan Phillips is already stuck in his ways. He had that issue when he was in Miami. He had that issue everywhere he's gone. He kind of tanks out halfway in the season, and then there's games you don't even know he's even out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think we'll see. I mean, they're bulking up that D line. They're stacking it right now. So I'm excited about it. I'm not going to put it all on McD because those players still got to go out there and play. I mean, Ed Oliver, the only time he showed up in the second half of the season is when the news was calling him out. Showed up for one game, and you didn't see him again. And
Stopping the
defensive ends,
run.
huh?
Stopping the run is a major point too, because I mean, look back at that early season game against Baltimore and the way Derrick Henry just gashed the shit out of us. Like he just demolished us single handedly, and everyone late in the season wanted to run their mouth about how Baltimore was so much better, and it was really just Derrick Henry that was better. We could do nothing to stop them, and those big powerful running backs. It felt like our defensive line just struggled with stopping them.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say so much. Even more than that was the fact of their corners can't play man. So if your corners and you're trying to make corners that are you're trying to make zone corners play man, it don't matter who's on that defensive line for most games because they're not going to stop anybody. They're going to have a hard time slowing down a quarterback from getting rid of the ball quick. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to put it all on them. I think they're doing a philosophy change on defense, and they're trying to put the pieces in to meet that philosophy change.
Mhm. So how do we feel about Landon Jackson then? Their third round pick at 72, from Arkansas, edge rusher. Again, big freaky movement skills. Looks like length is good for him, and they're suggesting that he also might be a really good run stuffer, run defender as well. So, to your point, Sean, it really seems like they're trying to just shore up that line and really shut it down and getting guys to your point, Terrence, who can get to the quarterback and close out these games.
Yeah, I think he's Espinesa's replacement eventually. I be honest with you. I mean, if the Bills have a shot at the defensive end, that's still a free agent. I mean, I know what's his name? Smith. Zadarius Smith is still available. I love that guy. I mean,
Hmm.
he's loved. I mean, obviously he's 30 plus years old, but the guy is still productive. I mean, he was a
Hmm.
monster in Detroit. He was a monster in Green Bay. He's been a monster everywhere he goes, no matter what his age is. So I can probably see him if that guy wants to take, kind of a mercenary deal from us and we trade off Espinoza for some picks or something like that. I'd be fine with it. I don't think the Bills are satisfied with Espinoza. I just think right now they have no other choice
I
until
don't
that
know.
comes.
He's played big when they needed him to, when a lot of the other players weren't.
I mean, few games. I mean, he's never been like a pivotal guy consistently through a season. I mean, name a play he's made in the playoffs.
True. I mean, part of the problem with the Bills too is just the sheer amount of injuries they seem to have on defense every year. Like I don't know if that's a conditioning issue or what, but their
Size,
injuries.
size, all the way size. They're on the field too long because they can't get nobody off because they're too small. They're way too small. They get pushed around very easily, and they don't really have a go-to guy or a finisher on their defense anywhere on it.
Well, maybe one of these draft picks with how big they are will actually that'll help because it definitely seems like they're going size with several of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that because their fourth round pick, who they just picked about an hour ago, Deion Walker, as well from Kentucky. Again, 2023 dude was slated as a first round pick. Obviously moved down a little bit because of like a bad workout, but big, another one, big human being, just another guy, pass rusher, stuffing the run, and they're just going hard defense. I mean, where do you guys think that we go from here? Like at this point, I mean, we've still got what, two picks left in the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. Do you think we go offense on any of these other picks? I mean, we still haven't heard anything on the James Cook contract situation yet. So I mean, are they going to take a running back with that fifth round pick?
What do you think, Sean? You go ahead.
I honestly would like to see them still go defense. I mean, they still need, I think, another defensive back or two. Um, and I mean, if you have, I'm not super familiar with any of the running backs who are left, so I don't know if there's anybody who's worth getting. Especially with to fill a hole that is like Cook size. I know we have Ray Davis, and I really liked what we saw from him last year.
I love Ray
So
Davis.
if Ray Davis can pick up the slack, maybe we can get somebody to back him up and go from there. I also wouldn't mind seeing them maybe take a young another wide receiver.
Yeah. T, you've always been pretty consistent on just letting Cook play out his contract and be done then this year. So if they don't take somebody this year, do you just see them taking somebody next year?
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, I think this year none of the top running backs fell into your lap, so now you have no choice at this point. I mean, you're not going to go out and go sign a Nick Chubb or anybody like that.
I wouldn't.
Cook is under contract. Make him play out the year, and he has no choice to play out the year if he wants to go to a team that's going to pay him. So
Yeah.
you kind of put him in a corner now. So now he has to play.
He doesn't like hold out or like act like a dick, does he?
He can't. He
I
can't.
mean, he can't refuse to play though. Is my
And he doesn't get paid. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Remember,
It's
remember,
not.
remember Belvin Gordon when he did that to the Chargers, sat out and he couldn't find nowhere to go.
Yeah, nobody will want that kind of character in their locker room, so they won't pay him. Right,
Yeah,
right.
but then and the crazy thing is, this moron's getting advice from his brother Dalvin that
His
got
brother
himself
needs to
walked
shut the
out for the
hell up.
same reason.
Yeah.
Dalvin needs to shut the hell up.
What does this do for him in the locker room, you think? Like, Reese, I want to pass that to you because you're a coach. Like, how do the other players feel about this, like this stuff going on, like with him
I
in the
think in
locker room?
NFL, in the locker room, it doesn't matter. Those guys know it's all business. So they're more than like, I'm pretty sure there's a few players kind of like, all right, cut it out. But I think in the locker room, the players they're boys. They don't care. The contracts, the business is different than them playing football. That's the business side. They play on the football side, just strictly playing on the field. So I don't think there's any issues with the players.
What about the coaching staff then?
Well, yeah, of course. You want the guy in there. I mean, you're trying to get ready for the next season, and he's you don't know what is going to entail, what his decision is going to make. I mean, Bean sounded like he didn't have a clue either.
Well, when McDermott has had an issue or a habit, right, of punishing players, like we've seen it over the years, when they do something that he doesn't like. So, I guess do you see that from McDermott this year, where they just are like, no, you're not going to play?
No, because I mean, his punishments primarily came from your play on the field. It was nobody never got punished for not anything off the field. We don't hear too much. They generally, most of the players, everybody likes each other for the most part, for as far as we know.
Right.
But I just don't. I don't see McDermott going through those steps. And number one, he's got to think about he can't do something like that anyway because he's going to put himself out there. You want to bring players to your team, and if you find out and the players see that you're punishing some guy because he doesn't like his contract, you're not going to sell the team very well that way.
Right. Sean, you look like you've got something to say.
I feel like it's a different story though if it comes to the actual season itself and he still continues to have an attitude problem. I think your teammates then will have an issue with how you're acting in the locker room if once the actual season starts, just as far as like a camaraderie kind of thing, because then you're bringing kind of a bad negative attitude into the locker room. And I get it. It's you have your business side of things, but you also have your team side of things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my point.
So what else about the draft so far, the rounds 2 and rounds 3, like stood out to you guys? Any of the other picks from any of the other teams that you found interesting or that you wanted to bring up, or everything kind of just business as usual? One of the things I wanted to point out, Sean and I were talking about this before you hopped on, Reese, was I really wanted to dog on the San Francisco 49ers just a little bit because there's a team that lost Deebo Samuel, lost Brandon Ayuk to an ACL last year. So whenever a wide receiver comes back from an ACL, they're never the same, right? We don't. I mean, their running back situation, they've got two guys that like is not a starter, right? And you've got Brock Purdy, who's okay, but clearly needs support. Like every single analyst everywhere says Brock Purdy needs support. And Christian McCaffrey, he'll be lucky if he comes out in a wheelchair. I mean, like, let's be honest, right? And they've drafted 4 or 5 picks now. Every single player has been defense. I want to shit all over San Francisco. If I'm a fan of that team, I hate that team right now. Like, what are you doing? Your defense was mostly fine. And 5 defensive players. You don't draft 1 wide receiver. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, like you need the offensive help. How do you not take anything? At least one of those 5 picks should have been something on offense.
Well, don't forget who went back there. Robert Salah's back.
Yeah.
So he did go back there. You're right.
Yeah. So he's trying to change. They're trying to change the defense in one shot for him.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And they're going to probably at some point during the season trade for a wide receiver from somebody because they're not going to be able to go in the season without any wide receivers. Ayuk was not, like you said, Ayuk, we don't even know if he's even going to make the start of the season.
Debo went to Washington, right?
Who?
Debo was he who went to Washington?
No, Baltimore, I think it was, right? Did he go to Baltimore?
I thought he went to the Commanders.
I can look it up. I could have swore. I think you might be right with Baltimore.
No, because whatchamacallit went to Baltimore from Kansas City, formerly of Tennessee.
Washington.
Oh, it is Washington?
Yep.
Who's the guy who went from Tennessee to Kansas City last year? He was Tennessee's number one.
Oh, I don't remember.
Wait, Tennessee's number one?
Yeah, he moved. He was for years. Then he left and he went to Kansas City.
Oh, you talking about
Snead?
Hopkins?
L'Jarius Snead?
Yeah, Hopkins.
He's talking about Hopkins.
Yeah, he went to Baltimore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. He did go to
No, Hopkins was from the Texans. Then he went to the Titans. Then he went to Kansas City.
I forgot he started with the Texans.
That's what was throwing me off. I'm like, man.
Well, he was good. He was good when he was good when he played for the Texans. He wasn't good when he played for the Titans.
I just remember that being the last team he was at before he went to Kansas City.
Yeah. So the 49ers was my surprise then, like just kind of like how bad that I like if I had to give any team an F, I think I would give the 49ers an F. But what overall, like looking at the other teams, like anything jump off the page to you guys?
I'm gonna make my prediction right now. Shedeur Sanders is gonna get drafted here in round 4 at pick number 137 by the Seattle Seahawks. I hate it, but I think that's where he's going to get picked.
Coming up.
It's possible. But I do want to say, because I brought it up before, we had mentioned some players that we were interested in. Carson Schlesinger, the kid that I said that was a linebacker, I would like the Bills to pick up. He went first overall in the second round. Mm-hmm. That's above all the other linebackers that were ahead of him. And I told you he killed it in his draft day workout. Another one, was kind of pretty. It was a pretty good pick. I thought it was the edge rusher, JT Tuamulo for the Colts. I thought that was a good pick by them. They need some help on their defensive end spot. I thought he's one of the players I thought the Bills may have tried to go after. But obviously Indianapolis liked them just as much. And the other one that I liked was Philadelphia again. Took the safety I wanted to fall in the Bills' lap. And once again, Philly drafts defense.
Yeah.
Drafts defense, and they just don't lose anything on defense. And that kid, Andrew Mukuba, he's a big kid.
Yeah.
And he's just not as athletic as Starks was. But this dude can play anywhere on the field. You can line him at linebacker. You can line him up deep in the backfield. He's very free, strong. You can even line him up to cover slot and tight ends because he's that big and he can cover that much of the field. So I kind of wish he would have thrown in Latin. I kind of wish the Bills would have been able to pick him up, but yeah.
Philly's interesting too, right? Like Philly, if that offense comes back, like everybody who was on that offense comes back, which it seems like most of them are. I see no reason why Philly doesn't go as I don't know if they win the whole thing again, but I mean I slate them to go pretty damn far again.
I'm picking Detroit to be in the Super Bowl from the NFC next year.
You think so?
Depends on injuries. If they have the same problem they had this year. Do you notice who else this year in this draft also has been drafting pretty heavy defense is Baltimore. And I think the pick that I like out of people was Mike Green for them at 59. He pick number 59 led the country in sacks, which is crazy considering as prior to this year nobody knew who he was. I think he is going to be, especially on a team as known for being as good defensively as Baltimore is. I think he's going to be real good there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting, like just the way
Oh,
like some of these teams have went, with their picks. Sorry, go ahead, Reese.
no, don't forget about the Will Johnson got picked up.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, Will Johnson. He was drafted by the Cardinals, and they're going to take they're going to take their shot.
See, that division is going to be. So as a Seahawks fan, I'm not looking forward to this year. Um, that's I think Arizona is going to be good this year again, and as if they can figure out their quarterback situation, Arizona has the potential to win that division, even over the Rams, because the Rams are so. I think the Rams almost every year have kind of an identity crisis. They can never seem to decide what kind of team they want to be.
Hmm.
That I think that'll be one of the more interesting divisions to watch in football this year.
Well, the problem with the Rams, they can't keep nobody on the field. The same problem as the Niners. I mean, they're wide. Well, I mean, don't forget, there's a turnover in the wide receiver core for them now. So we'll see what happens with that. But they're a team that's another one. They just can't stay healthy. I don't know what's going on with those California teams, but they apparently injuries go rampant, and they all most of the teams in California.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found interesting too, with all the holes on the roster for the Jets, that they took a tight end with their second pick at 42, that
Mm-hmm.
Mason Taylor kid from LSU.
Yeah,
I just the Jets are just such a stupid team to me. I just don't understand how like anybody can be happy with anything the Jets do ever because they always seem to do the wrong thing. Like I get it. They need help on the offense, but really, you're not gonna take the best available wide receiver right there. Like what are you doing? I just every single time I see the Jets do anything, I'm always like, what are you doing?
Why would you take a wide receiver though if you don't know what Justin Fields is going to do at quarterback?
They need
Like,
they need help though. I mean, that offense is atrocious. They couldn't score any points last year.
and you would. I mean, if you get a wide receiver, you're going to help him. And then there's no excuse. You can't say you didn't give him weapons and he couldn't figure it out. I mean, that's
Is
how much?
Adams coming back? Is Adams going to play for them again, or is he going somewhere else?
I think he left.
Is he a free agent?
oh
I
yeah,
think
he's gone. He's in the NFC. Who did he go to?
did,
I'll tell you 1 second.
The Rams.
That's it.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, he could go and play with Puka.
The only problem with him, the weird thing for me with him, he's not there. His route running isn't what they usually use in that type of an offense. In other words, they like quick twitch, short passes over the middle type receivers. I'm wondering how they're going to use him there. Because, I mean, generally, he's only been a deep threat for the last 2 or 3 seasons. He hasn't been asked to run a whole lot of a route tree.
Yeah,
So
and
you have that deep threat. You have your other guys as those quick outs, and now you have a legitimate deep threat for Stafford there. And we
Well,
know Stafford has that cannon of an arm.
I mean that arm's getting 1 year older though. Stafford doesn't have
Yeah,
much
true.
time left.
yeah, but I mean, but even if you, but the 49ers or the West Coast offenses aren't designed for deep balls. They're designed for short and intermediate routes. And
Yeah.
he's not really known to run short routes and over the middle inside routes. He's more of a boundary guy who likes to stretch the field. It'd be interesting to see how they use him. Maybe they put him in a slot spot so he can stretch the field. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I want to make a quick question for you, Mike, in your regards to talking about the Jets there. When talking about the Jets and their inability to score points, how much of that comes back on Aaron Rodgers, though?
Yeah, I mean that there's definitely there's definitely some truth to that.
And his terrible decision making, and just the fact that he was always throwing the ball away from the shadow man.
The Shadow Man. Just ridiculous.
Well, he hasn't signed with Pittsburgh yet. She's
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. Yeah. So I guess I don't know. That's as far as I'm gonna go. So I guess guys, any final thoughts on the draft? Anything else you are expecting? Anything else you want to happen as we kind of wrap it up here?
Well, what grades do you guys give the Bills overall so far?
I mean, I'll go first on this. I think I love that we're shoring up the defense, right? Because it was clearly the problem last year in the playoffs, and it was clearly the problem towards the end of the regular season. I think, right? Like your defense plays a bit better, you win that Rams game, and you don't need Josh Allen to. I mean, that Rams game and that Lions game are what won Josh Allen the MVP. Like, I
Yep.
mean, let's be honest, dude had 12 touchdowns in those two games. Um, but that being said, he shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? He should not have to do that. And so if the defense can be better and get to the quarterback and not be like last in the league in sacks, I'm happy with that. I would still love a wide receiver, and 'cause I just don't think that like it's enough. I like Shakir. I don't know enough about this Palmer kid to see how he's gonna do. And Coleman's another year older, so hopefully he'll be better. But I don't know if that's enough, right? And I think I need them to maybe address that a little bit more if we want to have them seriously contend and maybe actually beat the Chiefs this year. So I think that's where my head's at with the Bills right now.
I'd give them an A so far. I'm curious to see where else they go with the draft here, but I think them, like Mike said, with them addressing their major needs, which is the defense and the way that it got exposed. I think that is exactly what they needed to do, and I'm happy with their pick so far.
Yeah, I would definitely so far give it. I would agree with both of you guys. I probably would give them an A. Still some work to do. I looked at some of the wide receivers left in the draft. I don't think there's drafting one. I mean, all the receivers that are pretty much left in the draft is what they have on their roster already, especially with the young guys. So, I mean, this might be just a run of defense for the rest of the draft, and I could probably see it that way. Unless well, tell you the truth, they do need a guard because this is Connor McGovern's last season. You don't know what's going to happen with that contract, so they could probably use a guard. I'm like I said, I thought they were going to try. I could think they might go after another linebacker because the Milano situation. We'll see how that goes. The way I offensively, I just don't know what else they're going to pick up. It's slim pickings from here as far as offense goes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Milano, I have a question for you guys. With them doing what they did with his contract and basically taking money away and all that, how do you think he plays this year?
I mean, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think that'd
think
be fine
you
too.
don't
I
think
mean,
that you don't think that impacts him negatively?
What do you mean? Because I don't think I understand the question.
So my thought line here, and you can flat out tell me if I'm thinking wrong here, is you have this guy who you make a big deal out of all the time. The Bills always talk about how great Milano is and all that. Then you go and you take money away from him and basically make it so that you take a year away from his contract too. Isn't that a bit of a I don't know, I won't say so much like a slap in the face, but like if you're so big on him being a major part of your defense, why are you taking away like contract time?
Well, I think it remains. I think that's debatable if he's an integral part of the defense now because of them removing that year. That means to tell me that they either told him, and don't forget he had to sign and agree it. That tells me that they told him you got to prove it. We need you to stay on the field for a whole season. The guy still hasn't been on the field for a whole season in what 3, 4 straight seasons. So I don't see nothing wrong with it. I think he has something to prove to himself that he can stay on the field. So no, I don't think it affects him negatively because if he doesn't pan out, we're done. We just move on, and he can move on. If he turns out, then you offer him another contract again. But I think this is a prove it year for him. That's why they removed that last year. They don't want to wait another year on that contract due to the fact that he can't stay on the field.
yeah, I agree. So, guys, that's our video. We're breaking as we broke down the NFL draft, and we had a lot of fun, talking about that and kind of picking on Shedeur Sanders a little bit. We will definitely get you a reacts video when he actually does get picked. But thank you guys so much for joining us for this video. A special edition of the NFL draft. We're going to be bringing you more NFL content as more things happen and we kind of get to training camp and everything else like that. And as always, stay tuned for our SmackDown review, which will be coming to you guys shortly. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a
Go
great
Bills.
evening. Go Bills.